on behalf of a good chunk of America. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome former mayor of New York, 3-time mayor of New York, the owner of Bloomberg LP, and at the helm of America's Pledge, Mike Bloomberg.
Well, thank you.
I was talking about America's Pledge. Earlier on, Arnold Schwarzenegger, sir, but not only Governor of Colorado, Jerry Brown earlier this morning, John Kerry as well, were all saying that we should forget about the US administration stance. They might join later, whatever. Right now, there's a pledge by a lot of good Americans to actually keep up the work and actually to match. Can you please tell us about this America's Pledge that you are leading?
Well, federal government, at least in the United States, don't have a lot to do with using energy or generating energy. It's done by individuals, it's done by corporations, and it's done by local governments. And so whether the federal government is in favor of doing something about maybe the biggest problem facing society today or not, that's not where the action is. The truth of the matter is we've got to reduce our energy consumption and convert to energy production that is more environmentally friendly. And so if the federal government doesn't want to participate, it really doesn't make that much difference. Our federal government made a commitment back in the days of COP21 2 years ago that we would bear our share of the costs of the measurement system that was going to see if every country complied with what they agreed with. I think America's commitment was something like $15 million over 2 years. When the President of the United States said he wanted to drop out of COP21, which he really can't, out of the agreement, which he really can't do for 4 or 5 years, the question is, would he or would the US government honor the commitment of paying $15 million towards the measurement process? Nobody really knows what the American government's going to do. I assume they will pay. But if they didn't, I said Bloomberg Philanthropies would step in and pay the $15 million. And then a number of people wrote me or called me and said, we'll help you do that. We don't exactly need the help, but that's fine. But the truth of the matter is America is halfway towards meeting its COP21 goals by 2025. I think we're probably the only large industrial country that is that far along. We've closed over half of all the coal-fired power plants in America. We've been closing them at a higher rate per month since Trump got elected than before he got elected. So things are fine. And what the president has really done is he's galvanized the people that say, oh, this really is a serious thing. And even if Trump's not in, even if the federal government's not in, which I say doesn't really matter, we're in. And so all of a sudden, you can really say thank you to Donald Trump for helping the cause. Now, whether he meant to do that or not, you'll have to ask him. But the truth of the matter is individuals they understand that there's an issue here. They look in the newspapers, they watch television, they see storms hitting our Gulf Coast, they see forest fires in California, they see trees in the Rocky Mountains dying, they see the fish, lobsters have moved from Chesapeake Bay up to Maine. Things are changing here. They recognize it, and when you do polling, 80 or 90% say it's a serious issue, we've got to do something about it. So that's one side of the equation. And what they're doing, they're painting their roofs white, they're turning off the air conditioner before they go to work on a weekday, they are switching from incandescent to LEDs and buying more fuel-efficient cars. Corporations are the other part of the equation, and they are doing a lot. Why? Corporations have to maximize the return to their investors, and one of the ways you do it is by becoming more environmentally friendly. It turns out that the economics of burning natural gas versus the economics of coal are good for your bottom line. So when people say, if I am environmentally friendly, it's going to hurt my bottom line, no, that's not the case. It's exactly the reverse. And companies aren't stupid. You see on television people who've never done anything in life talking about climate change and saying it's bad, but you'll never see a business person saying, oh, we may have a flood because of higher tides or whatever, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I don't believe it. It's a commie plot. You get fired. No, you say, I'm going to raise the building, I'm going to build a wall, I'm going to buy an insurance policy, I'm going to have a backup site, I'm going to do those kinds of things. And so companies are preparing for the worst. Companies are trying to reduce their carbon emissions because it's good for them. It's also good for their customers who want them to do it. It's good for their employees who want them to do it. It's good for the potential employees that they want to hire. And perhaps most importantly, it is good because they want to please their investors, and investors today want to be environmentally friendly or socially responsible, as they say.
That brings me to my second question.
Because I knew where you were going.
Thank you very much for preparing the ground. Mike is chairing the task force on climate-related financial disclosures, i.e. the companies, when they disclose their financial information, do get green goals in. So if I'm summing it up, Mike, so how can it help us right now accelerate the good work? Well, and what is it doing?
If you want to do something, you have to know what you're doing. So if you want to invest socially responsibly, you've got to know how carbon friendly, environmentally friendly, however you want to phrase it, companies are. And so you need a measurement system. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And so we've created two organizations, one in Europe, thanks to Mark Carney and the G20, one in the United States. One in the United States does a little bit more of the issues other than the environment compared to the one in Europe. But the one in Europe, which Carney really deserves the credit for, lets companies report voluntarily on a comparable basis what they're doing in terms of being environmentally friendly. And then you as an investor can decide where you want to invest. Now, the more people that want to invest in your stock, the higher it goes, the better the bonuses are, and everybody's happy. So you want to be able to show that you're doing a better job than the other guy is, because there's a limited number of funds that can be invested. And that's what this whole system is. You can compare two companies, see what they're doing. Even in the same industry, you can get down to that level of granularity. And we have somebody, Mary Shapiro, who used to run the SEC in the United States, who is really the brains behind both of these organizations. But companies are contributing data. We verify the data, and then you can use that in your investment decisions. And I'm a big believer that competition is a wonderful thing. If the guy down the street is doing a better job than you, it gets you to step up your game, partially because of ego, but really because you want to get people who would otherwise invest in that company to come over and invest in your company. And so we're all acting in many senses what's in our own interest. We're trying to improve our bottom line, improve the air we breathe, the water we drink, stop the world from going over a tipping point. And it all fits together. And in fact, we are making progress. And in America, I've talked about the progress we're making. Not every country is doing it. But the big countries, the big polluters, America is. I think China is making a major push. They are just, the Chinese government listens to people. I don't want to breathe the air that I can see, so they're doing something. And we've just heard from India that they've made a commitment. And if those three countries do it, you'll go a long ways towards helping our planet. And I think it goes without saying that the Macron administration and his predecessor's administration really have been the guiding lights here of taking an issue that is important to the people of France, but important also to the people of the world. And they have led and shown that you can do something. And we can complain about what's not done, but I wrote a book with a guy named Carl Pope from the Sierra Club, A Climate of Hope, because these are individual things. There's lots of things that you can do, and each one of them helps. And what's interesting about climate change and the environment, I think you'd be better off phrasing this all of environmental things. I want clean air for myself and my kids and my grandkids. And I don't know about 2050. I'm 75 years old. I'm not going to find out what happens in 2050. I'll hope so, but I don't think so. What I want to do is make sure that we do everything we possibly can today. And there are lots of little things, they add up. If you stop polluting, everybody in the whole world benefits. If you do pollute, everybody in the whole world suffers. So when you say to me, well, we shouldn't stop polluting until the other guy stops polluting, that's a nonsensical thing. Anything you do to improve the environment is going to help us. Is it enough? That's a different issue. Whether you ever get, whether it's a tipping point, nobody knows this. Scientists can't guarantee that we can hit a tipping point. What we do know is that every day the insurance companies are paying out more money than ever before, and that's a good measure of pain and of mortality, and things are getting worse, and we've got to do something about it. And I think the president of France has a unique opportunity to continue this, and Gutierrez and lots of other people who you've heard from today. Gates is doing a lot of good things, and the governors have done a number of things in their administration and before and today. And we should walk away from here worried, but also pleased that we are going in the right direction, a bit not fast enough.
Let me ask you one last cheeky question. The President Macron here said he didn't despair, that he thought he might at some point convince the US president to change his mind regarding the Paris Accord. Here in Europe, we know for a fact that the United States can be late. They were late twice, but when they came, it was with full might. Do you think this is something that can happen and happen soon?
Well, I don't think that, I think it's embarrassing that America has walked away from science and walked away from its responsibilities as a world leader. And I don't agree with this administration on a lot of things. But what would be wonderful is if President Macron is right, and if the President of the United States, Donald Trump, one day wakes up, looks at the facts, calls in the best scientific minds who have to deal with peer review, and then goes to the podium and say, you know, before I thought something, but I've got more new information, and I've changed my mind. Somebody that does that is an intelligent, courageous person. And somebody that, when the facts change, refuses to change because they'd be embarrassed to change, does not have my respect. I would respect Trump more if he did that rather than disparage him. And I think that there's a lot of reasons why he should do that. And I think the president may very well be right. And every day I get up, hope springs eternal, we always say.
Thank you very much, Mike, for your time with us.
Thank you.